So starting with the first one here, we've got the deep ankle flexion on the left side. I am sitting on top of my right heel and right knee and firmly placing my left heel flat on the ground while pushing my left knee over my toes. And now back over to the right side, just making sure your hands are firmly placed into the ground, trying to keep a good posture throughout the movement. Moving into the same position now, but working on the thoracic extension. So this is really slow and controlled from the top down. So have my chin come down to my chest, and I really want to squeeze and pull that in towards myself. And then on the way up, I want to do the opposite of lifting my chest up and allowing myself to get that extension. Now going into a duck walk. As you can probably see, this is very difficult for myself to do this movement. I like to flick my feet on the sides as they don't go straight forward and up. It just gives it a bit more rotation throughout the hips. Now moving into the gorilla crawl. So this is a very nice sort of flow movement. So sort of pressing the ground away and lifting your hips up nice and high, while trying to get your lead foot out in front of you, and the rear foot just follows. And straight into a bear crawl now. So hips will be nice and low, knees directly under your shoulders and digging your toes right into the ground and just alternating with each foot and hand, and that's about it. Now going into a triangle pose. This is one of my go-to poses for myself. I just find it really does help on the side of the body where I'm usually extremely stiff from my hips all the way up to my side of my back and even to my shoulder. When I do a pose, as you can see here, so I like to start in a position, but then halfway through I like to sink down and really push with strengthening and stretching at the same time. I just find to get a lot more out of it that way. So as you can see here on this side, I'm just getting myself into position there. So that's like the correct posture pose there. But now I'm just gonna go right into where I need to feel it a bit more deeply into the position where I'm gonna push my hands down into the ground while trying to keep rotating my right shoulder up. And this will give me a lot more stretch, especially the back of my left hamstring and just on the right side of my hip. Now just moving to the extended side angle pose. So this again is an excellent stretch for taller blokes like myself. And that's pretty much how to get into it nice and easy. Though I want to really push, as I'm doing right now, push my right knee forward and get a lot more lower. My left hand could be a bit lower, but my left shoulder is really in a bad position here for myself. And that's pretty much it for this pose. So just again here, so my left arm is now going to push against my right knee, and there's sort of creating a lot of tension in that. So I get a lot of rotation throughout my thoracic, and with where you're looking also has a difference. So you can look up and over your right shoulder, which I sometimes do. Otherwise you can just look straight to the side, or even just looking down to the ground. And now straight into the good old down dog. So this is obviously a very basic, easy pose. For myself, I like to externally rotate my shoulders, if you can see there. And I'm really gonna lift my hips up as high as they can. I wanna keep my hips at the same level. And then when I do extend my heels down, which I'm doing right now, I want my hips to be still nice and high, and I really get a good stretch just at the back of my glutes that attach straight to my hamstrings. Sometimes I find that hard to stretch, but this has got to be the best stretch for that. And now into the cobra. So the cobra, my hands are directly under my shoulders. you can have your hips down, although I do lift my hips up, as you can see, squeezing my quads, and just keep firmly pressing your shoulders down, and you're sort of compressing everything down while you're pushing everything up from your feet. So for the first balance exercise, we have Warrior 3. I like to always start with my feet first, and then my arms will extend out right at the end. You really want to think about stacking your hip, so my right glute, I want to stack it on top of my leg. That way I find you can hold balance a lot more easier. So once I'm ready to get started on my left side, I will first extend my left leg nice and straight, and then my left hip will be stacked right on top of my left knee. So it's like one straight line. And then I just want obviously my rear foot and my arms to just counter my weight there, but try and obviously keep a nice straight line. All right, so here we got one of my personal favorites, very challenging for myself. So the half moon, take a few times to get into it. So same thing again, I really want to stack myself up, but this time I've literally got all my body stacked up on that one side, and then you see I sort of fall out of it there. So on the left side, I'm a lot more better, a lot more stable. So I actually want my right hip now to stack on top of my left leg. So on a lateral sort of plane on the side of my body, everything is stacked on top of each other. You can use your left hand, so the one that's touching the ground, that could just sort of balance your weight if you're just going to lean too much forward. And that's how it's done. And now into the camel pose. So here I'm going to extend my shoulders externally out, lock out my arms, bring my hips nice and forward as much as you can. So that's as far as forward I can bring my hips. You can drop your head down, or you can just keep it neutral. Obviously I'm dropping it down and just opening up the chest up. And the whole time you really want to be pushing your hands into your feet, so your toes are really bent backwards, and you're getting a good stretch throughout there too. And now just to finish it all off with a child's pose. With a child's pose, I like to rotate my thumbs up while obviously pushing my hips back down. So you can have your hands nice and flat on the ground and grip the ground as you push back away. Although I like to just do a few rotations just to work a different stretch throughout the shoulder, where I'm usually really tight, just the front of the shoulders there. Today, thanks a lot for coming along. I hope you got a lot out of it. As you can see, I started off with the animal flow, which is quite intense to obviously start with, and then from there straight into the yoga flow, and then a little bit of balancing as well. I get a lot out of this myself, so just being a lot taller, into strength training, boxing, very stiff and tight in the shoulders, and obviously around other areas of the body too. This really helps me as well. So if you enjoyed that, please feel free to see me in the next one, and I'll see you there. Cheers guys.